At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Off and running, hour number 3 after further review. Welcome in. Musso in for Moscona. Taylor Sharp, Paul O'Neill along for the ride. We are presented on Wednesdays by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Glad to have you along for the ride. Maybe you're just hopping in the car, starting your commute home. We appreciate you making us a part of your day. And it's been a great show. We still have a lot to get to here in this final hour. A little bit of LSU baseball coming up that I did want to touch on. Brian Kelly met with the Rotary Club. Of course, ask us what we learned. All of those things. You can start lining up questions for that if you would like by you for the YouTube chat, or you can tweet me at Musso Matthew. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started here. Push off from the dock, hour number 3. It is tradition that the LSU head football coach meets with the Baton Rouge Rotary Club the last week prior to training camp. Brian Kelly did that on Wednesday. And I will tell you, there is a lot of reasons to be excited about LSU football in 2025. From the transfer portal class they brought in to the high school recruiting class they brought in, the players they have coming back. Veteran starter and Nuss going into his second year. You look like you're just poised for a jump. There's a huge opener. But there's 2 reasons I want to get into here in this conversation that really don't factor into any of that. Number 1 is Brian Kelly's confidence that he is speaking with. And this goes back, y'all. This goes back to after the Oklahoma game at the end of the regular season in 2024, when he had the quote about taking receipts and we'll see you in the national championship. Like, that's where this started. And it has just continued throughout this offseason and now heading into fall camp. You've heard him say it's the best team he's had, and he has doubled down, tripled down on that take throughout the offseason. And today, when he met with the Rotary Club, it was all about championships with Brian Kelly. Really going back again, as we said, to the post-game press conference against Oklahoma. And it started with championship traits.
Attention to detail. Like having a great attitude. Making sure that they have some grit on a day-to-day basis. All of those things, those traits, what I call traits of excellence, they're transferable. They take them with them when they leave here at LSU. That, to me, is part of our process. And people talk about, well, what's your process? It is to build those traits in our players so they can deliver when their best is needed. You want attention to detail on 4th and goal. You want great habits when they're needed, when you're on the road and you're playing in Death Valley Junior, not the Death Valley.
That's the other great thing about the Rotary Club meeting. The coach is always just a little bit more lighthearted. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, why would you give bulletin board material and whatnot? Y'all, it was going to be loud regardless of what Brian Kelly said, and it's still going to be loud. He's playing to the crowd. That's what happens there. I love that. But there he is talking about the traits and the confidence that his team has and that that's part of their process. And he would go on and talk about those traits and how they will lead to a national championship.
Standard is high at LSU. And that's why I love being here, because that standard has been set. So asking the question, when are we going to win a national championship, is not a question. It's just when we're going to win the national championship. Because we will. Because we have players, we have the standards, we have the support.
That's why I started here. Remember, it's not necessarily about everybody they brought in. I love the confidence that Brian Kelly is speaking with, because that rubs off on your team, man. That's how you get buy-in. Right there. Your coach talking about the championship traits, taking a little bit of a shot at the opponent. Him saying it's a matter of when, not if. When, not if. And because we have the players with the traits that they're bought in. That your team feeds off of that. Your team buys into that. They've put a heavy emphasis on this game. The paw prints, the 1-0 signs, all of that. But it's the confidence of Brian Kelly that leads into it. And you know what? I can hear what a lot of people are going to say too. Man, him talking like that, he better deliver. Yeah, there is an element to that. That's just putting more and more pressure on him. But would you rather have a coach that's that confident to make those statements that he knows are going to get out, he knows are going to be replayed from now until the game and even throughout the season? Or not? I would rather the confidence. And I think that's a huge part as to why you and I should and do feel good about LSU's chances this season. The other, yes, is Garrett Nussmeier, but it's not really because of the ability on the field. It's everything else that he brings. And Brian Kelly talked about that Wednesday at Rotary as well.
There's special players that you get in my career over 30 plus years of doing this. And, you know, Garrett Nussmeier is a pretty special guy. He's a quarterback, and quarterbacks are seen as these ego-driven guys. He's here for one reason, to win a national championship for LSU. And that's how he lives his life. Like, he's other-centered. He's thinking of others all the time. So when your quarterback and your leader is that kind of guy, you can go into the seat and feel, you know what? We're in pretty good hands tonight. Let's go play. Let's make sure we got a couple of breaks, go our way, you know, and call it a day.
Again, it's not just the ability that Nussmeier has on the field, and we know what that ability is. Kid threw for 4,000 yards a year ago, and they've just surrounded him with even better weapons now. We know all of that. But it's the leadership. He's here for one reason. He's others-centric. That's where his focus is on others. And that plays back into a conversation we had earlier this week where LSU's team, Blake Baker talked about this on OTB earlier this week, LSU's team feels very together. And that's not always the case when you have this heavy of an influx from the transfer portal. That's a hard thing to get, the chemistry. You can build the culture all you want. You can recruit in the portal to that culture all you want. You never really know how it's going to play out until those guys are here and they're with their teammates and you see it for yourself with your own two eyes. And you've heard it from the coaches, you've heard it from the players about how together this team is and how they have just clicked. And a lot of that is because of the mindset of a guy like Garrett Nussmeier. Those kids in the portal are coming in here to a new place. They have their own goals. Like, sure, they want to win while they're at LSU, But they're also coming here for more exposure, things of that nature, to compete against the best in the SEC, things of that nature. But when you have a player, especially at the quarterback position, like a Garrett Nussmeier, who his focus outside of football is on his teammates and others and what he can do for them. First of all, hallmark of a coach's son, right? But that makes the chemistry building process, the continuity building process, the gelling of the team that much more easy to come by. Because you have a guy like that, and then you mix that with the confidence of the head coach. And again, Brian Kelly is talking like a guy who knows what he has. He's talking like a guy who knows what he has, and he's just waiting to be able to put it on display and show the rest of the country. It's those two things that really get me excited for this season for LSU and make me believe that LSU does have a deep run in them this year in the postseason before you even get to what's on the field. Confidence from your head coach and the leadership and the want to just do great by others that Brian Kelly just described in his quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier. The play on the field is great. Those two things, those are invaluable. We'll see what it leads to for LSU here in 2025. Season can't get here fast enough, man. Can't get here fast enough. Tigers will open up against Clemson August 30th up there in, what Brian Kelly call it? Death Valley Junior? 6:30 p.m. kickoff. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll shift to some LSU baseball. Baseball America. They got me thinking about the Tigers and the SEC, plus some more signings to go through for LSU as well in the draft. That's next here on AFR.
For the review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
All right, welcome back in after the review on a Wednesday. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Musso in for Moscona. Going to talk a little bit LSU baseball here. I get it; it's the off season, and I mean we've done nothing but football so far in the show, and it's actually been fantastic. But there is a little bit of news surrounding the Tigers, and it's a decision that we've kind of been waiting on. And then also Baseball America really kind of got me thinking today, and I want to dive into one of their recent pieces here as well. LSU, we've been tracking signings, current roster, as well as high school, and you had 8 signees taken. It was largely assumed that 7 of them were no-brainers. They were all taken in the top 10 rounds. The one that was interesting was River Hamilton. River Hamilton was taken in the 11th round by the Detroit Tigers, and it left a little bit of a question mark because, man, that's still pretty close to the 10 rounds. But it's outside. You know, he's only guaranteed at least $150K as a max. You can always move money around and things of that nature. What would he do? River Hamilton was a guy who was committed to Oregon State. He flipped to LSU late in the process. He was not really able to be scouted much. He felt some elbow discomfort ahead of his first start of the high school season back in March, but he was able to get on the mound when the calendar turned to May and just at some showcases and whatnot. And the stuff was pretty good. It was going to be okay. Were scouts satisfied with that small sample enough to take a chance on him, or would that injury end up allowing him to make his way to campus for LSU? You see that often. You saw that in this draft. Marcos Paz. He missed his entire senior season, just got back on the mound in like June and July. It wasn't enough. He goes undrafted. He's coming to school, and that's a huge get for LSU. We now have our answer on River Hamilton. He has signed professionally with the Detroit Tigers. I'm not surprised by that. While the questions remained, my whole take on it, talked about it on Musso at the Box after the draft, was if they being the Detroit Tigers were going to take that chance on him in the 11th round, they had a deal in place there. Detroit had taken 4 high school prospects and a college senior in the top 10 rounds. And for what it's worth, their top 2 prospects they drafted, their first and second pick, they saved $850,000 just on those 2 picks. They had money to throw around to entice a guy like River Hamilton, and they knew that when they made that pick. It's why they made that pick. He will not be at LSU. Not a big surprise given where he was taken. You could kind of see the writing on the wall. Jaden Foskey also, or Fausk also signed his contract. He got almost $3 million. He was taken in the second round. That wasn't a surprise. He was enrolled in summer school, but you see that every year too, where guys get drafted in big money and they say, well, it's a hell of a school. And you know what? I don't blame them. I would have done the same thing, but nobody was ever offering me $3 million out of high school to do anything for that matter. I wish they would have, but they weren't. So Quentin Young as well also signed for LSU. That was expected as well. So you're seeing the expected dominoes fall. The one that really you had a question mark about maybe was River Hamilton, and he will start his professional career. Best of luck to him. LSU's killed it in the transfer portal. The roster will be just fine, which brings me to Baseball America's latest little masterpiece. We'll scroll on Twitter today, and man, if there's one thing I love, it's a way too early top 25, and Baseball America's got one. And it's very kind to LSU. I won't bury the lead. LSU checked in number 2 in the nation here for Baseball America's way too early top 25, and it makes a lot of sense. They did note this is subject to change once you kind of get eyes on players and the teams throughout fall and the preseason and things of that nature. But what they factored into this would have been potential breakouts, coaching impact, and unproven but high upside transfers. That screams LSU. Coaching impact. Jay Johnson's won 2 national championships in 3 years. It makes sense that they would be highly ranked in this. Upside with guys, transfers, all of that screams LSU. And they come in at number 2. And I think that's a very, very fair place for the Tigers. For what it's worth, if you're wondering, number 1 is UCLA. And UCLA deserves that spot. And I really think that UCLA, provided they stay healthy through the preseason, will be the preseason number 1 team. They return the most proven production in the country, including the projected number 1 overall selection in next summer's draft in Rock Chalowski. So, I mean, and oh, by the way, they went and added Will Gasparino, the center fielder from Texas, in the portal. They returned their starting rotation. Like, they are the most proven team returning in the nation. It makes sense. More on LSU at number 2, and then I want to get into the SEC a little bit. Because there are two teams that really, really catch my eye. The thing that got me so excited about Baseball America's write-up on LSU is they mentioned everything that LSU lost and everything that LSU brought in. They didn't even mention what LSU has returning. Like, you look at replacing, Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson, obviously there. They mentioned bringing in Cooper Moore, the starter from Kansas. Santiago Garcia, a lefty from Oregon, with plenty of upside there. When you talk about the holes in the lineup, Zach York, the slugger from Grand Canyon, Trent Caraway, third baseman from Oregon State, Seth Dardar, utility infielder out of Kansas State and Louisiana native. All those things that we know. And that was enough in their write-up for them just to be like, with that and Jay Johnson, you expect a lot out of him because he's been nothing. Their quote, expect a lot out of LSU, which has been nothing short of phenomenal under Jay Johnson's leadership. It doesn't even factor into the fact that Stephen Milam's back, that Jake Brown is back, that Derek Curiel is back. On the mound, Kason Evans is back. Maverick Rizzi is back, who has been dominating the Cape Cod League, by the way. Like, dominate. He doesn't have a walk yet in his summer action. He's back. Gavin Guidry's going to be healthy again. Devin Sharon's going to be healthy again. Zach Cowan's back. LSU should be, if they stay healthy, they should be ranked no lower than number 2. I wouldn't expect the top 2 to change for Baseball America, and I think you see a similar order for the rest of the polls. Now, to the SEC. God, LSU's going to be so good next year. To the SEC. Taylor, I want you to guess. How many SEC teams do you think Baseball America has in their way too early top 25?
10.
Almost. 12. You guessed over half the lead, so we're going to give you partial credit for that. 12. LSU, Texas, Mississippi State, more on them momentarily, Auburn. All of those are in the top 5. Yes, Mississippi State's in the top 5. Georgia, Tennessee, they round out the top 10. Arkansas checks in at 11. You have Vanderbilt at 15. Alabama at 19. Florida at 21. Ole Miss at 24. And Texas A&M at 25. There are 2 teams in there that I am extremely intrigued by. And the first one is Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is set up to have a phenomenal year. I love the hire of Brian O'Connor. I mean, he's a great coach. He's a national championship winning coach. And what he has been able to build and preserve at Mississippi State warrants the number 4 preseason ranking. Will they live up to that hype? I don't know. But I think Brian O'Connor is set up for a great first season at Mississippi State. Maybe I shouldn't say it warrants the 4th ranking here in Baseball America's way too early, but I can understand how they got to it. Just look at the transfer portal. He brings 3 with him from Virginia, who were major contributors. They go and add Tyler Pitzer, who's a high-level player out of the portal. Mississippi State is a top 5 portal class just in general. Oh, by the way, you got a reaffirmed commitment from Ace Reese, their leading hitter and home run guy, third baseman, all SEC player. And then Jack Bauer. Get used to hearing the name Jack Bauer. Jack Bauer was committed to Brian O'Connor at Virginia, flipped to Mississippi State, and they got him through the draft. And this is massive that they got him through the draft. Everyone thought that would not happen. Jack Bauer is a lefty that has been up to 103 miles per hour, and he is going to play baseball for Mississippi State in 2026. If you were looking for a little bit of a rebuilding year, that is not the expectation in Starkville, and it is easy to see why. You got your best player back from a year ago. Brian O'Connor brought in top-level transfers, a handful of them he's familiar with because he coached them last year. And you got the highest-ranked prospect that did not sign to campus, who will immediately factor in to State's bullpen or maybe even their rotation. Look out for Mississippi State. The other one, many might think I'm going Georgia. I'm not going Georgia. Wes Johnson killed it in the portal. Good for him until he proves that he can get out of his own stadium in the postseason. I don't buy it. So prove it, and then we'll have a conversation about Georgia. For me, it's Florida, solely because of the pitching. This feels like one of the old school Florida teams to me for Kevin O'Sullivan because it starts on the mound. Look, they'll have some opportunity there in the lineup, 100%. And the offense that Florida has really been able to play, that's really where that program's just made a bunch of strides. But if you're looking for a 1-2 punch to start with and feel really, really good about, look no further than Florida. Aiden King returns. He was phenomenal as a freshman in Florida's rotation. at times out pitching Liam Peterson. And then, oh, by the way, Liam Peterson is back. Now, it's going to have to come together for a guy like Liam Peterson because it's just left a lot to be desired, quite honestly. In 2 seasons, I mean, he's a standout freshman. You expect big things from him coming in. You got him through the draft his first year. And in 2 seasons, it's been underwhelming. It just has. But if and when it all comes together, you pair that with a guy like Aiden King who already exceeded expectations as a freshman, that's dangerous just from a 1-2 punch. Like, we could look up in April, and it would not surprise me if Florida has the best 1-2 punch in the SEC. Not saying they will, but it wouldn't surprise me. And then you look at a guy like Luke McNeely, who's been nails for them out of the bullpen, could easily slide into that number 3 spot. And you have other guys returning, and they've added plenty in the transfer portal as well on the mound. That's how Kevin O'Sullivan built that Florida program into what it is today, is through the pitching staff. And this feels like a team that could have a little bit of a throwback to it. Throwback to kind of early Kevin O'Sullivan teams at Florida when they were, running out Brian Johnson and A.J. Puck and Alex Faedo and Brady Singer and Jackson Coar and, Dane Dunning, who barely pitched at Florida and is a major league starter. Like, it feels like that's the type of staff they are potentially building over there in Gainesville for this year. And it starts with their 1-2 punch. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a great year in the SEC again. And LSU is going to be really, really good. I know a lot of the focus has shifted to football, and I get it, and it should. Don't forget about the LSU baseball Tigers. It'll be here before you know it, opening day for the defending national champions. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll continue with more AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Stay here.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
It is my pleasure this week to welcome our new partner on to After Further Review, Our Lady of the Lake. Of course, great partnership as well as the official championship health partner of LSU. When you think who takes care of the LSU athletes, well, it's Our Lady of the Lake and the physicians there. Game-changing care, keeps athletes at their best, builds stronger, healthier Louisiana for all of us at every level. I've told you about my experience throughout my life living in Baton Rouge at Our Lady of the Lake, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom to helping raise funds through so many different fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital to taking my son to see specialists there at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital, to my own personal health. My GP is Dr. Kurt Chastain with Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health. It's good enough for the LSU athletes. It's good enough for me and you, of course. It's Our Lady of the Lake. You can learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU.
All right, back here after further review on a Wednesday, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Could you go ahead and get starting questions in? Ask us. We'll do some what we learned. Ask us to wrap up the show here. Bayou Ford YouTube chat or tweet me at Musso Matthew. Wanted to touch on one more thing from Saints training camp briefly, and that's tight end. Also lost in the shuffle on Tuesday, with Tyrann Mathieu retiring and Jimmy Graham retiring, was a third retirement, and that came from Dallin Holker. You'll remember Dallin Holker, obviously undrafted rookie for the Saints in 2024. They committed $235,000 to him. I mean, it was a guy they thought about drafting, but felt good about being able to get him as a UDFA. $235K for Dallin Holker, basically guaranteeing him a spot on the practice squad at that point, but you expected him to make the 53-man. Ultimately, he did. He played sparingly for New Orleans in 2024, did Holker, and then announces retirement on Tuesday. It's confusing. Played in 12 games a year ago, caught 3 passes for 21 yards. The money situation, a blip in the radar, honestly, really, for Holker. It's just more confusing that he decided to hang it up. And look, guys make decisions for a lot of reasons. For what it's worth, Holker was dealing with an ankle injury pretty much all throughout spring and whatnot. He was really limiting his ability to practice, so he wasn't really factoring in much. Obviously, he's well behind on the depth chart, and maybe he just wanted to move on to other things. So he retires. Where does that leave the New Orleans Saints at tight end? Because y'all, as much as we talk about the quarterbacks, as much as we talked about the defense earlier under Brandon Staley in the first training camp, tight end is a very polarizing position for the New Orleans Saints. Kellen Moore was asked about this. It was actually one of the last questions he was asked in his media availability on Wednesday about how he felt about the tight end room and the depth and what he's seen so far.
I just say, like any position, we're always trying to acquire players and acquire talent, and so we'll see how it goes. If something pops up, we're more than willing to do it. But I think that group's worked their tail off. There are some younger guys in there that are continuing to grow, and so you see those leaps come in through training camp, and so we'll see how it goes.
The beginning of that cut is obviously very telling. And I should have better set it up. The question also asked, is he satisfied with what he has in the tight end room? Always looking to add if we see an opportunity. The Saints are left with 8 tight ends on the team right now. 8. After Holker, they had 9. Holker retires 8. And Kellen Moore not closing the door on potentially adding more. For what it's worth, obviously, when you look at the depth and the depth chart, Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, both on PUP. You probably won't see them throughout training camp, and they probably won't be ready for the start of the regular season. You're still a long ways off getting Hill and Moreau back. So when you look at how reps were distributed on day one, obviously Juwan Johnson, first team, you fully expect that, and he should be. You also saw, you also saw Trayton Welsh. Trayton Welsh ran second team. I had it, and now I lost it. Apologies. Jack Stoll, Trayton Welsh were running second team. Juwan Johnson, your first team. If I can find the other guy, I will bring that back. Okay, so that's where you were looking. Sorry. Juwan Johnson running first team, as you expect. Welch, Stoll running with your second. That's not really a place you want to be if you're the New Orleans Saints, to put it mildly. Man, you look at a guy like Trayton Welsh. He is a player that has just 1 year of experience. He's only been off-season or practice squad, 1 year of time in the NFL, 2024 with the Browns, and then was picked up by the Saints mid-season a year ago as well. Very young player. Jack Stoll, he's 27 years old, also very young, but he's at least got a little bit more service time in the NFL. He's just bounced around plenty, but he has played in 61 games. His best season was 2022 with the Eagles, where he played in 17 games. He caught 123 yards worth of passes on 11 catches. He has not found the end zone. Those are the two guys you have running second team right now in camp. That's where Dallin Holker retiring does potentially matter for the New Orleans Saints. Because that's a guy that you thought highly enough that you invested $235,000 in as an undrafted free agent a year ago. He plays 1 year. He's dealing with the injury. You haven't really been able to see him, and now he is retired. I am all for the Saints. If they can find another tight end that they want to bring in, go ahead and do it. And look, I understand it might not be a deep pool for tight ends in the NFL right now. But that is a position that I look at and I go, you know what? Nah, I don't feel great. And that's where you go back to Noah Fant. And you absolutely right now have to make an effort for that to happen if you're the New Orleans Saints. Because Noah Fant could not only come in and solve the bulk of your problems, he could really come in and be your starting tight end. And that could allow you to use Juwan Johnson in so many different other ways in your offense. Because outside of that, it isn't a great tight end free agents that are left. I mean, you look at a guy like CJ Uzomah, Mercedes Lewis, but he's 40. It's just a lot of aging veterans that would be left there. Noah Fant, it drives home the need even more when you look at them in training camp today and you see Trayton Welch and Jack Stoll running as your second team tight ends. They need to go make it happen. All right. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Stay here. We'll close out Wednesday edition of AFR next.
AFR.
Closing up here on AFR on a Wednesday. We get some Ask Us questions. Got a few of those coming in, and also we have to run down the Cleveland Browns here before we get out of here as well. But let's start with some Ask Us questions for Taylor, for Paul, for me. It can be anything by for YouTube chat, and you can tweet me at Musso Matthew. Here we go. Sorry. Easy E says, ask us if you could go back to relive any one grade of school, what would it be K through 12? Ugh.
Senior year was great, at least for me. Like that's where I'm going back to. It's senior year.
Yeah. I just did not like school at all. But loved the good times with school. So I mean, I guess I'd have to really consider that. I mean, yeah, it would probably be high school. I don't know if I have really one. Junior year was really good in high school, so I guess I'd select junior year there. Paul?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough
Paul's
one.
about to say kindergarten, watch.
Because school
I'm about to say, like, maybe, like, childhood. Like, kindergarten.
Those afternoon naps did.
I was about to say, I almost said,
nap time.
I almost said kindergarten because of the naps. Like, afternoon naps, they slap. They're incredible. So, Paul, are you going kindergarten? Is that your final answer?
Yeah, let's go kindergarten.
Okay, Paul's going kindergarten.
I don't really have to worry about much. It's just, learning my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s.
There you go. Ask us, this is a hard one. Favorite LSU game you attended?
Oh, this is easy. 2007 LSU Florida.
Yep. If you were there for that game, that is easy. I was not there for that game. I was on campus that day, and it was awesome.
2007 LSU Auburn was there for that one, too. That was another good one. But Florida just had a different feel to it.
Yeah, okay. So for you, that was easy. Paul?
Yeah, I think that's mine as well.
You were there as well. Okay. That's I wasn't there for that. I really have to think about that because I'd also factor in like baseball and stuff like that as well, and maybe even basketball, although there haven't been great ones to attend with that. But, I mean, if we're talking just football, one that always stands out to me, and it flies under the radar, is the 2012 South Carolina game.
That was actually one of the first ones I thought of.
That game was awesome. Tiger Stadium was electric that night. It was Jeremy Hill's like burst onto the scene, his breakout, his coming out party. Zach Mettenberger played really well that night, really kind of for the first time as
South
the
Carolina
LSU quarterback.
had stars too,
And
like they had Clowney, they had Marcus Lattimore,
Stephon Gilmore was on that team as well. I think
Connor
as
Shaw
well.
was their quarterback.
Connor Shaw was the quarterback.
Good team.
Was Alshon Jeffrey still there?
Yeah,
he was
his
a
last
junior.
year.
He was a junior. Like, it was a really good South Carolina team. Saturday night, like, that was an awesome, awesome game. Freshman year at LSU for me. So, like, freshman year of college, I should say, for me. So, I mean, that was that one always flies under the radar. And anytime people ask, like, best game you attended in Tiger Stadium, I always mention that game. It was it was awesome. All right, have y'all seen what the Cleveland Browns unveiled today? The NFL is unveiling a bunch of new uniforms. We talked about the Saints yesterday. I think the Cleveland Browns unveiled what might be the worst uniform in the NFL for this season. It is all brown, and I mean all brown, including the helmet. And the helmet is such a dark brown that it almost looks black. It is atrocious. Like, The Saints are not in a good spot right now. But, man, at least you aren't the Cleveland Browns for a number of reasons, and these uniforms are one of them. These suck. Like, just plain and simple, these are atrocious.
It kind of fits for the Browns, though. Like, for anybody else, it would suck. For the Browns, my thought is, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I mean, Easy in the chat saying that the brown helmet isn't that bad. Yes, it is.
No, the whole thing's bad.
Like, it's worse if they put it on an all-brown uniform, but the solid brown helmet is horrible. And also, the Browns helmet in general sucks because it's plain. It's just a helmet with stripes on it. It's the worst. The Cleveland Browns are the worst. I don't really know why we expect anything other, but that might be the worst uniform in the NFL. For my money, it is. And again, shout out to Buffalo Bills for bringing back the red helmet, and they have the best uniforms in the NFL, or at least my favorite uniforms in the NFL. So the New Orleans Saints wear gold jerseys. So, okay, whatever. All right. He said, ask us worst NFL uniform. The Browns, the all brown for the Cleveland Browns. Those are horrible. And then also the Packers. I think the Packers uniforms are terrible. I know everyone loves them and they're iconic. I think the Packers uniforms suck. Their colors are awful. All right, that's going to wrap it up here for AFR on a Wednesday. Appreciate everybody. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Paul. Thank you to Shea Dixon. Thank you to Matthew Parrish. Great show, man. A lot of football, wall to wall. We got more of that coming for you. Day 2 for the Saints tomorrow on the practice field. And there was some LSU stuff that I wasn't even able to get to or really dive into. LSU's swing game potentially in the season, and Big Ten Media Days wrap up. That's all in tomorrow's AFR. Stick around for that.
AFR.